Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Code with Dave. So today we're going to be talking about conditional statements, and what exactly are conditional statements would be the first thing we need to answer. So a conditional statement is basically when we write a piece of program which needs to make a decision in order to decide how to run the next bit of the program. So there's a few simple examples of how we can go about this. The most basic solution to a conditional statement is the if statement, and that is structured quite simply like this. So we need to basically say we use the keyword if, and then we provide a condition within parentheses, and then in curly braces we provide a piece of code to run. That is the basis of an if statement, and there is nothing complicated about that. So let's get in and do an example. So in this scenario, let's say we need some values to start us off. So I am just going to use these values. So we're going to have A is 1, B is 2, and C is 1. So I've purposely made sure that two of them match just so we can run some comparisons here. So the first example that I would go for, just to see and show here how this works, is if A is equal to B. Remember, the double equals is a check. We are actually comparing. So if A is equal to B, then we shall console.log the equal value. So what do we expect to happen here? Well, we get undefined because we have told it to run only if A is equal to B, and as we know, A and B are different. A is 1 and B is 2. We can equally negate that, similar to how we talked about in the comparisons lecture, that if A is not equal to B, then we can console.log not equal. So let's test that one out. So all we've done is added the exclamation to negate the equals. So instead of is A equal to B, is A not equal to B, and then we get what we wanted. Now we can make this even simpler by expanding upon the if statement into an if-else statement. Now, don't get confused by that. It works exactly the same way, just with a little bit of extra code. So this is how an if-else statement works. I've just restructured what we've got here. So we've got if A is equal to B, then we will say equals. And then rather than write another if statement, we can just tag onto the if statement we've already got with an else. So in this scenario, if A is equal to B, say equals. Otherwise, say not equals. And this will work because these are polar opposites. This says this is true. This says this is not true. Simple. So if A is equal to B, we will say, so what are we expecting to happen here? As we expected, same as above, we got not equals because A is not equal to B. Now, if I was to rewrite that, but this time instead I said A is equal to C, we get equals. So we've run the first part. So notice how the first part of the program will run if it's true, and the else will only run if the first part fails. Very, very simple. And again, we can move on, and there is one more step to if-else statements which is important to know, and that is the if-else-if, otherwise known as an else-if statement. So I'm going to do this as we did before, except this time I'm going to just extend this to say else-if. Now don't get confused, all we are doing is tagging on, we are chaining the else's. So we've got if in this scenario, else if this. So we're checking one condition, and then we're checking if not that, then let's check another condition. Whereas here we're just saying check the condition, and if that isn't true, this is definitely going to run no matter what. In this scenario, we're checking and then we're checking for something else. There is no second check in this first one, in this if-else statement. So in an if-else-if statement, we would like to say, we've said if A is equal to B, now we're going to say if A is equal to C, then we can also say equal. Now what you would expect to happen, and what will happen, is we will get equal, because although the first one didn't run, the second one did. So let me just make that clearer. Let's rewrite that again, but this time equal A and C, just so we know that that's the one that's running. There we go. So this is the bit that's running, not this bit. And the last thing that you should know is that, same as before, we can do an if, then we can do another if by doing an else if, and then we can do another else on the end there. So basically, we can run the first part in this scenario. If not, we will do another check and run this part if that's true. In any other scenario, though, we will run the last else statement, which we have here, which will be console.log not equal. And I went and did something wrong. What did I miss? Oh yes, I didn't close the parentheses. So yep, we got our equals A and C, but if I now change it back and say if A is equal to B, and then we'll say if B is equal to C, so we know that none of those are going to add up, we get not equal. So there you have it. We've just been through a few basic examples of how to use conditional statements within our JavaScript programs. Hopefully this has been very useful to you in understanding how conditionals work. If there are any questions, feel free to drop comments and I will do my best to answer them. And hopefully I will see you in the next video of Code with Dave.